this guy, Hall of Fame defensive tackle from the Roughriders. Let's bring him in, please. The Steelers and the Chargers. The old 96er, Scott Schultz, or as Lynch would say, the old 69er. How you doing, Schultz? How you doing, Schultz?
Oh, it's great to be back. Great to be seen.
Always good to be seen. Hey, my dog. Tell me, you got your Rough Rider shirt on, but you're also Steelers and Chargers alum. So I hope you don't mind if we sashay into a little bit of NFL talk here right now, or later on. Sorry,
no problem.
But as we start this, I'm calling this the zaniest, wackiest season in Canadian Football League history in terms of you can't really predict any of what's happened on a week-to-week basis, first half, second half. Am I right on that? Or can I get a hell yes on that, or do you not agree?
Well, hell yes. I mean, what's most exciting for me is regardless of the outcomes, the games have all been close. They've all been exciting. And, for the fans, it's been a feeding frenzy. Now, for our riders, the beloved riders, the ups and the downs, and it's been a rough season, but it's great to see them get a big win last week, and especially with that running back setting in for 207 yards.
For those that don't know, just to get everybody up to speed, he's talking about Raquel Armstead, a guy that was cut from Ottawa, a real bad actor, they said, in Ottawa. But he plays for the Riders in Calgary on Friday night. He sets an all-time CFL record for most yards in a debut by a running back, 207 yards. And, as a matter of fact, let's go there. That pumped the Riders into a playoff spot. They got 4 games left and a 3-point cushion on Edmonton. You're pretty close to the scene. You're a Hall of Famer with the club. How do you think this is going to go the rest of the way for them?
Well, Roddy, we've been through this a bunch of times. I mean, how many times, in my career, I think 3 or 4 times we finished 9-9, and there was those late season, 4 or 5 game win streaks that we had to get just to make it to the playoffs. But once we got into the playoffs, what happened? 2 of those times we made it to the Western Final and didn't have enough to get over the top. But so I look at it as it's exciting. I'm one of those guys as what's important now. Let's look at what's in front of us. Of course, the East, they've got some teams out there that are pulling away, but everything that's in front of us is we can control, we can manipulate and get ourselves back on track like we did this past week.
For those that don't know, I mentioned Scott, a Hall of Fame defensive tackle with Saskatchewan. What were you there? 01 to 09, 9 seasons. Am I right on that?
That's correct.
And then Chargers and Steelers before that, and played at UND. Won a Grey Cup in 2007, but was also my partner on the radio, the talk show that I was doing there for 8 years, and we had a lot of fun doing that. So as Schultz says, we've seen a lot. But I just want to ask you this. It's a different ball game now, Schultz. We're on national television. We have fans of every team watching. So I'd kind of like your take on Calgary. Can you see from the outside why this team is in last place and on the verge of missing the playoffs for the first time in 18 years?
You're talking Calgary?
Yeah.
Yeah, listen, they've had great coaching. They've had great executive management. And sometimes, you see it in the NFL all the time. After a number of years, those things start to play themselves out. Sometimes there needs to be a fresh look. And in the CFL, it's always a carousel of coaches and GMs that they interchange with each other. And it might be time for Calgary to dig in and make that change for the club.
Back to I got so many things rattling around my noggin to ask you. Do you see Saskatchewan making the playoffs the way it's configured right now?
My heart of hearts, I wish them in. They've got my support, but it's so at this. I know from the player perspective, it's so hard because you got to just play for what's in front of you right now. And right now, they've got a tough road, and they've had those ups and downs. So I can see them getting there, but they have to kind of circle the wagons a bit here and push themselves forward and block out all of the noise. And that noise in Regina can get pretty loud sometimes, Roddy.
Do you go along with this? Oh, you only beat Calgary last week? Like, to snap a 7-game slide, they're winless in 6. Now, I don't. Like I say, they ask how many, not how. Where are you on that?
One game at a time, Roddy, and that one game does it for us. That's all you can look at. They have the characters in the room right now that, like, in years past, you could kind of see the teams, I wouldn't say give up, but they just decline and they kind of accepted their spot. Whereas right now, they're in the mix, they're snorting and fussing, and they've got a way forward. So for me, I look at it, it's just 1 week at a time. And that's what's exciting for me because, you're totally dialed in.
Okay, to the really fun stuff. Going to play word association here.
All right.
Chris Jones. Chris Jones. What do you think when you hear that name?
Dicey. Are we just doing one word association?
Well, no. I mean, whatever you want. The reason I bring it up is I read this article on Troy Aikman recently, and he said a coach he would have always liked to play for is Bill Belichick. And I just wonder how you look at Chris Jones. You're a defensive guy. He's a defensive guy. Would you have liked to play for a guy like that or not?
Those guys, those are the kind of guys, when things are going good, they're great to be around. When things start to fall apart, that's where you see the shortcomings and maybe, some of the well-rounded coaches that I've had over the years, where you see Jones, he's going at it just as a defensive coordinator, kind of an assassin by hire. And then when you kind of meld that over into the head coaching job, it can go one of two ways. And he's seen the heights as a Grey Cup champion, and he's seen the lows getting kicked out of town. So, it's tough. But for me, I always strapped it up and did what I had to do. And I could always conform to whatever the coach was asking.
You did play for a variety of interesting Cowboys, for sure. And to be honest, when you said dicey, I'm not even going to ask you for the definition of that because I've taken the liberty of looking it up. And the Urban Dictionary for dictionary definition is unpredictable and potentially dangerous.
Yes.
Is that Chris Jones?
I think that fits aptly in this discussion. You can look at the track record. He'll take you to the heights, but also he'll take you to the depths, and somewhere in the middle, you got to find where you fit in. And I've heard some hellacious stories, and I've heard some great stories, some great stories and character stories. So but if I was a GM or if I was a president of a team, knowing what I know, he wouldn't be the guy I would be looking for. I'd be looking for an offensive mindset to lead that team forward.
Interesting. Well, I won't speak for you, but I'll speak for me. To quote my good friend Eric Tillman, if you must judge someone, judge them at their best, not at their worst. And by the way, the definition of dicey, unpredictable and potentially dangerous, used in a sentence, the lot of a wanderer is always dicey. So there you go.
Yeah. And he's a wanderer.
You want to? Yeah, the lot of a wanderer is always dicey. So there you go. More word association. Cody Fajardo. Cody Fajardo.
Fajardo, paper champ. He's won a championship. But he's one of those guys. Like, I just don't know. Like, from the things that I've seen out of him, I don't know that I would be able to, like, yeah, that's my guy. Like, he certainly wasn't, like Darian Durant or Kerry Joseph, that's for sure. I mean, when times got rough, he got kind of whiny, and no defensive lineman likes that.
Yeah. Well, hey, again, you know me. I'll let people be themselves. So, again, running to the Urban Dictionary, a paper champion is a boxing champion who is considered to be a false champion or champion only on paper. So there you go.
Well, he's for real. They won the cup, but I don't know. To me, he just doesn't seem quite the leader that you'd want in a quarterback. I mean, the quarterback shouldn't be whining or looking to allay blame other than on himself and what he can do to make the things better.
It's really interesting you say that because at the Ryder Alumni Golf Tournament, which you were conspicuously absent, by the way, I know you were at the dinner with doubles. I know you were there because I saw the photos of it.
That's right.
But some of the Ryder alumni that were there said that they love Cody, but they said as soon as he called out his receivers, that was the end of it. They're like, you just can't do it. They love him, but they're like, you can't do that.
Roddy, it's a death blow, and you know that. And I mean, look at even what's happening just down with Deion Sanders and Shadur Sanders. Like, look what happened a week ago when he kind of threw his O-line under the bus. Like, scouts, teams, people look at that kind of stuff. They look at how they treat how the leaders treat and lead their players.
Doesn't hurt when your dad's the coach. Did your dad ever coach you in football?
No, he coached me in hockey, Roddy, and you know what happened there. Got out on the ice, the cup falls out, and the ref stops the game and asked every kid whose cup it is. Of course, I denied it. They lined us up on the boards, did a stick check, and my hockey career was over when they got to me.
That was the end of it.
That was the end of it.
Coached him. There's a lot of great stories out of that. I promised some NFL. Well, you probably know that story. It's Terry Dressler. Weston was underage and undersized, and they said Weston can't play. And Terry goes, if he ain't playing, I ain't coaching. That was also the end of that. Weston played all his way into the Hall of Fame. Hey, I mentioned the NFL. Obviously, you follow it close. You played in it. Best team in the NFL is, okay, we got the Steelers, the Chiefs, the Bills. There's actually a host of teams at 3-0. Who's the best of all of them?
Yeah. Well, you got to go with the Chiefs. I mean, they've got a proven track record, and I mean, this new age of football, Roddy. It's just there's so much excitement, but I mean, I don't like that like with all the excitement, with all the athleticism, with all of the play that is exciting. I mean, quarterbacks are averaging like mid 200s, low 200 yards, even in the like high 180s for yardage. I don't. It's not as exciting to watch, but I mean, for the team that's got the most talent right now, I'm looking at Kansas City.
The worst team is who? Because we have a host of teams at 0-3.
God, who's 0-3? Give me a. You got to give me a smattering because I don't.
I got a list here. No, it's fine. The Tennessee. Well, get with it for your next appearance. The Tennessee Titans, Jacksonville Jaguars, the Cincinnati Bengals, and then there's some bad 1 and 2 teams: the Carolina Panthers and the New York Giants.
Yeah, I gotta go with the Bungles. I mean, they're perennial basement. They've got some great talent at quarterback. It's just I don't know how they're for all these years how they're not able to get out of their own way.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. I didn't put them in the poll because I think with Joe Burrow they got a chance, but it's fun. It's fun to talk about. I said you played in the NFL. Do you not follow it? I know you're busy. Father of three, right?
Four. We had a COVID miracle.
A surprise, we call that.
Oh yeah.
So you probably don't have a lot of time for NFL watching. Am I right?
You know what? So I'm coaching high school football. My son's playing for the Greenall Griffins out here in Balgony. We actually we faced the Yorkton Raiders today at 4 p.m. at Leibel Field, by the way, Roddy. So I am but I'm not coaching my son. He's an offensive lineman. I coach on the D line, and so I'm continuously looking at the CFL, NFL, looking for drills, looking for technique for guys. And so I'm always. But what I'm focused more on is I drill down on the guys. Some of the elite players that I'm trying to drill down on. So that takes me to watching the Watts of the world, watching the Steelers and previously Aaron Donald over at with the Rams, trying to find some skill set that I can visualize and impart that into our young guys.
Okay, well, promise me that you don't get out coached today And in the time that we have left, I mean, we could sit here and talk ball all day, but we don't have time here. But what I do have time for is for you to tell our audience what you're up to these days.
Well, I appreciate that, Roddy. Actually, I'm a partner at Lakeview Insurance. We service the province. We've got 9 offices throughout the province in Regina, Yorkton, Humboldt, Martinsville, Avonlea. We're all throughout the province and just handling farm and commercial insurance for local Saskatchewan folks. You can get a hold of us check us out at www.lakeviewinsurance.com.
Can you handle a 167 square foot studio in Boca Raton, Florida? I have to provide my policy to my landlord here. Do you handle Floridian office space?
I don't know that my binding authority would extend to the state of Florida, my friend.
Okay. All right. Well, I thought I'd ask. Tim from Vegas writes, and he says, it's a treat to have Scott back. Thank you all. Well, no, thank you to Schultz.
Well, I appreciate it.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll do it again.
I appreciate it, but we got to get sharper, Rod. We got to have a conversation off air, and we'll get sharper so we can get back and start throwing some jabs like we used to.
Oh, yeah. People will be shocked. This was not rehearsed over the last 15 minutes. Thank you, Schultz. Go Griffins.
Go Griffins. Thanks, guys. Looking forward to seeing you again.
All right. You for sure. Thanks for coming on. The great Hall of Famer, Scott Schultz.